revolutionary platform of announcing, bringing you for the second consecutive time, Allusion.
Good evening all and welcome back to another wonderful session of Allusion 2021 organized by Japura Voice, the official broadcasting unit of the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, where we are ready to help you to shine as a revolutionary star in the field of announcing. Throughout this session, we were talking about different aspects in Sinhala announcing, and today as our final session, we are ready to talk about how to unleash the best hidden speaker within you and how to craft the best version of yours in the field of announcing. So this event is going to be really interesting and an interactive one for all of us. So I invite you all to stay tuned with us and stick to this event. So as I said before, today we are talking about how to unleash the hidden speaker within you and how to craft the best version of yours. And for that, we have really interesting and an influential personality who is going to be your guest speaker for today's session. So here he is.
Representing a bold voice, he has been able to take the English announcing field to the highest level in Sri Lanka. He is a well-reputed TV news anchor at ITN Sri Lanka and also currently a communicator in the digital media platform. He is none other than Mr. Sasanka Dias.
Good evening, sir. We warmly welcome you to this session and I hope you are having a safe and pleasant evening. Sir?
Hi, Praveen. Good evening to you and everyone joining today. It's a great pleasure for me to join with Allusion, and this is a fantastic idea and a wonderful concept. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, sir. So yes, first of all, I would like to start our session with this question, sir. Now, who is this personality, Mr. Sasanka Dias, and how did he climb the ladder of announcing and touch the peak, sir?
Yes, so I started from my school. My foundation was laid at Isipatana College. I am indebted to my school. So that's where I started my career in media as a 12-year-old back in 1999. So I learned to do things from scratch there at my school, got together with my colleagues and created the interest towards getting into this field. And professionally, I got into media at ITN in 2007 as a trainee newsreader. And thereafter, I ventured into social media and created opportunities through social media in media as well as in my professional career as well. So as an announcer, I think now there are plenty of opportunities that you can venture into. I was born in an era where there were 2 television channels in Sri Lanka. 20 years after that, I get into media in 2007. And 10 years after that, or beyond that, right? We're talking about the current context. You have plenty of opportunities in the digital space. So announcing doesn't get limited to mainstream media or TV, radio, or whatever, but it goes beyond that, and you have the opportunity to create that domination in the digital space as well. But to do that, you have to know your basics, and announcing has those basics.
All right, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the great personality and most importantly, the personal brand that we presented to you. All right, sir. So to get things started, I would like to ask, how can we unleash the hidden communicator within us, sir?
Yes, I think it's a very broad question. I would say a broad question as well as a broad answer. So you begin with many things, right? You keep on reading, you get to know people. More importantly, getting experience is of paramount importance, right? You need to, as I told you earlier, I started from school, so I know most of the audience here, girls and boys, from schools as well as undergraduates and so on and so forth. So if you're a student, the best place to start is your school. Maybe you can take part in events as a host, or you grab that opportunity. If someone comes and asks you, can you do this? Can you be the announcer for our event happening next month? You should grab that opportunity. Grabbing the opportunity gives you the stepping stone to get into this field. That's how we did it. Right? So it's the responsibility or the ability of all of you to grab that opportunity, right? And thereafter, you learn every day. You have plenty of sources to gather information. So for example, I will tell you, when I got into media as a professional, we had only the PC of the organization or papers, books, or any other printed material to gather information. So, but now you can even search anything on your smartphone. So we got into media in a non-smartphone era, and thereafter we ventured into other avenues, and that is what you can do as well. So initially, you need to be good with your language. To do that, you have to read, watch speeches, which is a privilege now. 10 or 15 years ago, we didn't have that privilege. We had to read books, we had to read newspapers, magazines, so on and so forth, to gain knowledge or to practice the reading or presenting. And what you need to understand is that this never ends. For me, I have been in the industry for 15 years. I just feel I have started, just begun. So that's the attitude you should have. That is the mindset that you have to be in. What you know is a drop. What you don't know is an ocean. So I feel what I know is still a drop. So be in that mindset. Grab opportunities what you get. Be it in school, in your Dhamma school, Sunday school, maybe an opportunity given by one of your relatives. Grab it. Grab the opportunity. That is where you start. Someone has to start from somewhere. This is the most important aspect or the factor, Praveen. Is because if you don't start, someone else would do. And you get thrown out of the competition. I know that it's hard to take that step, but you have the courage, you have the potential to do it, just go for it. So my advice is start it from somewhere. You have plenty of opportunities on social media nowadays. If you don't get an opportunity to be physically present, especially in a context like this or in a situation of this nature, you have the ability to start your own YouTube channel, share your knowledge, maybe subject matter, and one of your friends would watch you on YouTube and learn that from you. This is how you get into it. And thereafter, you meet people, as I said, you read, you watch videos, so on and so forth. There are plenty of things to do, but more importantly, take that first step and go for it.
Yes, sir. So you said like we have to always like improving ourselves is the most important thing and grabbing the opportunities, sir. But the thing is, sometimes if we feel that now, okay, I'm not good at doing this thing, I'm not into this particular thing, sometimes we don't like to take, or we are reluctant to like grab opportunities because the world is full of opportunities, but the thing is we don't feel like taking it. So how can we like get rid of that fear, like underestimating ourselves?
That's a very good question, Praveen. So, as I said earlier, right? If your fear of standing in front of a large number of people, right? If you're afraid of it, right? You can start from your own room. Go in front of your mirror, right? You see yourself in the mirror. They say a presenter's best friend is the mirror. So whatever you want to say, whatever you want to practice, maybe a speech, maybe a passage that you have to practice if you are a host of an event or any other opportunity that you can name. Start from practicing in front of your mirror. Nobody's watching. Nobody's watching, right? Or else, everyone uses a smartphone nowadays. You record a video, no one is watching again. You're the only person in front of the camera. Record it and watch it. Watch it repeatedly. This is how you get into the feel of enjoying it. Because this is all about enjoying, announcing. If you take announcing, if you are a host at an event, you have to enjoy that moment, those moments. You have to live in it. Yeah. Some time ago, BBC had this slogan saying, live the story, right? Live the story. That's what it is. Even if you take it in an announcer's context, right? You have to live inside it. To live inside it, you should have the background information. And coming back to your question, if you're afraid of getting in front of a large number of people, maybe you're afraid of recording a video from your own smartphone, just go in front of your mirror, start doing it. Because there's nobody watching. You're the only one. Right? This is how you gain confidence. Once you do it 5 times, 10 times. Now, sometimes people ask me when I was reading news and there were newcomers, right? And they asked me, how many times do you need to read the script before going on air? Then I told them, how many times do you think that you have to go through? Some people said various answers, twice, thrice, 4 times, maybe 10 times. Then I said, as much as you can. When you go through it as much as you can, you're thorough with the words. Likewise, practice as much as you can in front of your mirror at home. That is the first step. That is how you get your confidence, your courage, and maybe thereafter, you will conquer the world. You never know. Just start. Go in front of your mirror. Maybe not now, after the session. You could go in front of your mirror, start practicing, and let's conquer the world together.
Yes, sir. So even when practicing now, we have to first prepare a kind of script to do that, right, sir? So script means, again, now if we are doing it in English, we have to write a proper English script, and if it is Sinhala, it's a Sinhala script. So there also we have to like go through a kind of, sometimes vocabulary can be a problem, and sometimes even the language, we have to consider about language as well, because we are, as public speakers, we are addressing the entire world. Sometimes we should stop if sometimes our word can be a kind of discriminating a set of people.
Yeah.
So we have to consider about the script part, right, sir? So shall we talk about preparing a proper script, sir?
Sure. So you mentioned the most important word, right, in your question, which is the vocabulary. So if you don't have a vocabulary, a powerful vocabulary, you won't be able to create that script. So how do you refine or improve your vocabulary? There are many things that you can do, right? One is reading. Right? The other is watching other people speak. You can watch speeches now, right? On YouTube, you type Barack Obama or whoever. Watch those speeches. Read whatever you get. It does not limit. You can't limit yourself and say, I'm reading uh, technology. That's it. No, keep on reading whatever you get, right? That is one. Watch videos, watch news, international news, local news, whatever. And also, there were a few of my friends who learned English, who improved their vocabulary by watching TV series, right? These are practical examples, Praveen. Sometimes people might think this might not work. You never know. You just try it. So there are people who have watched sitcoms, TV series, and learned English. Even if you watch movies with subtitles, you learn, right? You learn new words. So I'll tell you one exercise to do if you want to improve your vocabulary. That is, now I told you a few activities, reading, watching videos, so on and so forth, right? Have a separate exercise book, right? Whenever you read, whenever you watch a video, whenever you watch a TV series, whenever you watch anything visual, you come up with plenty of new words, right? You write those words. Write those words on that exercise book, right? Write pronunciation, write the meaning, the definition, how it is being used in a sentence, right? You can even write the pronunciation in Sinhalese. That's your mother tongue, right? That's our mother tongue. Even if you can't read it in English, you can definitely read it in Sinhalese, right? So it's important that you keep that in mind and write those words. That's the beginning. Start from there. So, and Praveen, whatever you do, consistency is invaluable. You have to be at it. You can't do it for 1 week or 2 weeks and just stop it there. This is a continuous thing. Even after being in the industry for 15 years as a news anchor, I still watch my bulletin after I read it. I still note down new words. Like I told you, I do that stuff. I still read aloud. I'll come to that when we talk about voice. But here, it's important that you take this action. Keep practicing consistently. This is what keeps you in good stead if you want to be a great communicator. And don't try to imitate, just gain from them. Follow them, but don't imitate, right? So coming back to your question, the answer is you read, watch videos, watch whatever visual, and now you have plenty of sources. You can watch TikTok videos or whatever social media platform you're in. There are plenty of there's plenty of knowledge that you can gain. And whenever you come across a new word, write it down. This is how I started. When I was a news anchor, and I still do it, I wrote new words and its pronunciation, right? Pronunciation in Sinhalese, so on and so forth. So this is the first step, Praveen. Anyone can do this, right? And you have to be at it because English is our second language. So you should not be fear of making mistakes when speaking English. This is very important. I will repeat it. Don't be afraid of making mistakes when you're speaking in English, because that's your second language. If you make mistakes in your mother tongue, that's a crime. That's chaos. But don't be afraid to make mistakes when speaking in English. That's your second language.
Yes, I think that is real so much important, because normally we think that doing a mistake in Sinhala, it's totally fine, but in English, when we are doing mistakes, we think that it's something that is the crime that we do. And yes, sir, that is really important that what you said, and also the consistency and practicing as much as you can. Always practice makes us perfect. And also, sir, I want to know now.
Let me add to that. Right?
Yes,
You
sir.
said practice makes perfect, right? So whenever I talk to students, I take this sentence, right? There is one word missing in this sentence. Practice makes perfect, right? It should be perfect practice makes perfect, right?
Yes,
If you
true, sir.
practice in the wrong way, right, there's no point of getting perfect in the wrong way, isn't it? So perfect practice makes perfect. So you have to be thorough with what you do, whatever the information you gain, and absorb it. Right? Then you can present. Reading and presenting are two different things. Reading is just reading. There is no interest towards it, right? Presenting is it's a new dimension to it. You add color to it. You have to understand what you're delivering. Otherwise, you can't present. That's what you have to understand, right?
Yes, sir. And also, okay, now we made the script and
Hmm.
we talked about practicing the script. And also, sir, now you are an active anchorman in ITN, and sometimes you are a social media influencer. You are now all these announcing tactics are like those styles are quite different. Like situation to situation, we have to change it. So how we can do that thing? Like we can't use the same method to all the incidences, right, sir? So how we can change?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is an important question as well, Praveen, because you need to understand the context. News reading, there should be a certain command in your voice. You should be able to command the audience. If someone is looking somewhere else and the TV is switched on, right? With your voice, you should be able to grab the attention of that person, or he or she should just suddenly take a round or turn and look at the TV, right? That's the type of command you should have if you're a newsreader, right? And when it comes to documentary, that is totally different. It's like talking to your friend, right? Maybe talking to your uh, relatives, or explaining something to them, storytelling. So documentary has that style. That is the context for a documentary. So you don't need a lot of breathing. You don't need a lot of breathing. It doesn't say that you don't need breathing. You don't need a lot of breathing, like news reading, right? So it's important that you understand this context. And when it comes to announcing indoor events and you have outdoor events, right? You don't announce in an indoor event like you do in an outdoor event. The tone of your voice, the volume of your voice, right? These change, right? If you're in an indoor event, there's a certain way that you modulate your voice. You don't need to scream. You don't need to project as if you're in an outdoor event. This is what you have to understand, right? When I say this, there can be plenty of people who have experienced this, right? So sometimes people announce in indoor events like outdoor events, and vice versa. So this is where you have to understand what is the context, where am I, what do I have to do, and have the presence of mind all the time. This is very important. You have to be ready. You have to be ready to face any situation. Anything can happen, right? You're announcing at an event, it's a live event. It's live. Anything can happen, right? The microphone might switch off. Microphone might switch off, or it doesn't work. Then you should be able to speak, project your voice without the microphone. That is what a communicator should be, right? Even you're speaking with the microphone, suddenly it goes off, right? Continue speaking. continue speaking, right? Continue speaking and go on with the flow. Carry forward the flow. That is very important. So it's important that you understand these contexts, Praveen. And I think if you understand this context and go on your journey in a very slow fashion, right? Slowly, because slow success builds character.
Yes,
And
sir.
character is an invaluable quality you should have in your life. It applies to announcing and for life.
Yes, sir. So you said about the importance of like the voice variances that we should
Hmm.
have when, especially indoor events, how we have to maintain our voice and outdoor, because even I am experiencing the same thing.
Hmm.
Like we people, when practicing, sometimes we are using the style that we have to use for outdoor events to indoor events. So
Hmm.
those things happening, sir. Now, how can we like manage our voice variances? Sometimes there are such words that we have to give more weight and emphasize it more, and sometimes even intentionally we have to sometimes say it slightly to give the impression, because the way we talk gives the impressions, right, sir? Different impressions. So, so how can we manage it? Our voice variances according to situations.
I think it's a matter of controlling the energy that you put in. Right? You don't need a lot of energy when you're presenting or hosting an indoor event. But if it's an outdoor event, it's open. Right? You need energy to project your voice. Right? So it's you need to modulate your voice, control the tone of your voice, the volume of your voice. That comes through your instincts, right? That comes through your instincts. It's the way you adapt to the situation, right? The way you absorb the atmosphere, so on and so forth, right? So I can, if you want me to quote an example in terms of documentary, I can quote that example, and he's like he's the icon of documentary voiceover in the world, right? His name is David Attenborough. It's David Attenborough. You could Google him, watch his documentaries, then you will understand how he voices, the modulation, the variations he has. So I just wanted to quote an example to you because this is the best example that I can quote. Even I watch his documentaries. So you learn. That's why I told you learn by watching other people's work. That is the beauty of this, right? You learn. You should be humble to learn. Then you can go a very long journey with plenty of success. Right? So coming back to your question, the energy you put in to deliver those words. So you were asking about how can we control or modulate the voice depending on whether the context is indoor or outdoor. So it comes to your instincts because you have common sense, right? You know, if I am at an indoor event, I don't need to scream because you have four walls. You're surrounded by four walls. But if it's an outdoor event, it's open. You need energy than an indoor event to project your voice. So this is a game with your common sense, your experience, so on and so forth. So when you practice, you can do the same. You know that you know that you have an indoor event or an outdoor event. So if it's an indoor event, you practice in front of your mirror in the way that you do an indoor event or with a low voice modulation or a low energy level, right? Low energy as in much of enthusiasm. You should have enthusiasm. If you don't have enthusiasm, you can't be an announcer. And it depends on the context, right? It depends on the context. So enthusiasm is important, and voice modulation depends on the way you understand the situation, where you adapt to that atmosphere, so on and so forth. I think I answered your question.
Yes, sir. So now I think like now as the way we also have to adapt to the situations as you said, especially when it comes to voice variances and other even the microphones that we are using, the equipment that we mainly using. Can it also make a kind of effect to the way we talk? Like, are there any special different equipment, especially different types of microphones that we have to use now when it comes to TV announcing and sometimes comparing, moderating, hosting, according to different situations? Are there any different microphones and equipment that we have to use?
I can give you an answer to this, Praveen, not technically, but
Yeah,
through my experience, right? If you're a newsreader, now what newsreaders use is a clip-on microphone, right? You clip it on.
yeah,
And if you're at an event, you can use FM microphones or wireless microphones, right? So it's wireless. So you can, but there is a certain range that you can't go beyond that range, otherwise the signals won't work. So this is a more technical aspect. Since you asked the question, so uh, that is one. And at events now, people use headpiece microphones, right? The headpiece microphone. So you have uh, a unit which comes from your ear towards your mouth, and that is another type of microphone. So there are various types of microphone, and when it comes to the digital space, you have USB microphones that can be used for podcasts, webinars such as these, and all the jazz. So it's important that we use the microphones. And you, since you talked about microphones, it's very important that we respect the microphones,
yes,
because that is where our voice comes from. If you don't have a microphone, how would you hear me? How would you listen to me or watch me or experience that for 15 years, right? For any of the newsreaders for so long? That is because it's there. It amplifies your voice, and you have to be thankful to it. You have to be grateful to it. So these are little things, but little things go a long way. This is what you have to understand. So respecting your profession, right? This is important. Respect what you do, love what you do, right? Then everything falls into place after some time. You have to be consistent, as I said earlier, but respect what you do, love what you do, and just do it.
yes, sir. So, and also, so now announcing, communicating, public speaking. Now we talked about ourselves, and also like as a moderator or compeer or whatever. Now we have an audience in front of us, right, sir? So now getting their attention and let them feel like, let them hype up, keep that hype all the time, and getting their attention is so much important, right? So as a public speaker, not only when even announcing or hosting, like people do different things to get that attention, and most importantly keep that attention. So what type of attention, like attention grabbing, attention seeking techniques that we can use in public speaking?
Yeah, it is quite relative, I would say. So it differentiates from a situation to situation, right? So this is a very long answer. Right? You have plenty of things to explain in this. So I'll start with, now if it's a dinner dance, right? You're the host of a dinner dance, and it's with a lot of pomp and pageantry, full of hype, fun-loving people, right? Crazy people doing crazy things, and so on and so forth. So there, the context is different. So it's very challenging to grab their attention
Yeah.
at one time. So depending on the situation, these are things that we do. These are abrupt things, right? These actions are abrupt, sudden, comes into your mind and you do it. It's abrupt. So it's very hard to mention, right? Specifically, you do this, right? But in a general context, Praveen, right? In a general context, You do it with your voice, right? That's why you have to improve your voice, enhance your voice, enhance your voice. Then people will be silent. When you start speaking, there will be pin drop silence from the audience. That's the command. That's the command you need when you're an announcer or a host. So to improve your voice, there are various things that you can do. Praveen, shall we move into the voice?
Yes, sir.
So yeah,
Yeah.
if you have another question, you can go ahead. No worries.
No, sir. Like even like sometimes when grabbing attention, people do some humor, try to add more humor.
Yes, yes, yes. So humor, it depends on the context, as I said, right? Humor
Yeah.
is a very common aspect that can be used to grab attention because humor is very close to people. It resonates with people. And in a context of that nature, in an environment of that nature, maybe a dinner dance or a conference and so on and so forth, these things are required to break the monotony.
Yeah.
So if you have uh, an award ceremony, right? So you have a welcome speech. You have the intro, the introduction given by the compeer. Then you have a welcome speech done by one of the organizers, a member of the organizers, and then you start presenting awards, right? Suddenly you have a comedy act or whatever, right? That is how you break the monotony. But in terms of an announcer's perspective, right, adding humor is very important. But that humor, the part of humor that you add, right, needs to be relevant.
Yeah.
It has to be relevant. Now, what happens? You add some humor and people won't laugh. That's chaos, right? So you have to understand the context. So that humor, the part of humor, should be related to the environment or to the background story of the event. Or maybe something happened in the build up to the event. So on and so forth. There are many instances or examples that we can quote, but it's an abrupt thing. So you should be able to grab the audience then and there. So it's very hard to specifically say that this needs to be done here. I hope you got the answer, Praveen.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the voice part, sir.
So yeah, voice is the most important aspect for a communicator, right? So everything depends on your voice. Body language matters, but voice is where you resonate with people, right? So I'll start from what I did during my initial stages. I kept on reading newspapers. I read newspapers aloud. So I kept on reading newspapers aloud, and it's important that we keep on doing it, right? Keep on doing what you're doing and bring out the best version when you're practicing, right? You read them aloud, go to your room or wherever it is, read them aloud. So when you do this, you get scolded for sure. Don't worry about it. Keep on doing it. I had the same experience, right? So keep on doing it. It strengthens your vocal cords. It strengthens your vocal cords. So it's really important that you do this with passion, right? So this will go a long way. So you need voice. Forget about you getting into mainstream media, right? Now we have plenty of people watching this today, and you have different ambitions, right? Sometimes one might say, I want to work at NASA. Yeah, that's an ambition. But whatever you do, You should have your communication skills, your presentation skills, presentation skills. You should be able to lead a set of people. If you work for an organization, there is a time you become a leader. You get into a corporate, there is a time you become a leader. So your voice helps in influencing people. That's what I'm saying. So even when you read news, documentary, or be a host, right? You become a public figure. That is maybe with your voice, and it is your voice, right? So people look up to you, right? Then do you need to stop practicing? No, keep on doing it. Consistency matters. So read whatever you get aloud, read them aloud, right? And also you could hum. So you take a song that you like and hum, right? There are songs which have various pitches, high pitch, low pitch. So you could hum the song. Don't sing it, but hum it. Right? So you know the melody, you can hum it. So that is another exercise. And some people say you take a straw and just blow to it, right? Another way to strengthen your vocal cords and enhance your voice. So there are various ways that you could improve your voice. And more importantly, now you have a smartphone, whatever you read, record it and listen to it. Whatever you record on camera, watch it, right? So these are little things that you can do and keep on doing it. I'm telling you, today is the 23rd of May, 2021, right? Remember the day. If you do this consistently, you will definitely have a place or have that opportunity to achieve your desires. Keep doing it because your voice is important, because you should be a leader who builds leaders, right? You should be an influential figure. That happens through your voice. Once you get into media, you become known after some time. That happens, right? But have the identity. Your voice also has an identity. So when you practice, now you may have heard plenty of voices before, but it's your voice. Always remember, don't imitate. Because when you imitate someone when you're practicing, yeah, you promote the person whom you imitated. What should exactly happen, or what should really happen is you promote yourself with your voice. When you read aloud, read it in your own style. Create that own style. When I started, that's what I wanted. I wanted to create an identity with my voice as a news anchor or a communicator and move forward with it. So when you create your identity, you have the edge over the others.
Developing our own personal brand, right, sir?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, sir. So seems like our session is going to be really, really interesting. And audience, if you have anything to get clarified, please just drop a text to the chat box or leave it as a comment so we can go through them in the Q&A session. And let me quickly remind you about our gold sponsor, the Samudra Bookshop, and our gift sponsors in the media, gift sponsors and the media partner, Amelie and Lotus Creations, Relax Pencils, Woodcraft, Trendy Gifts, Smart Work, Sandaru Creations, Wall Art and Artline, and finally the digital media partner, Digital Mind. So yeah, and coming back to the session, so now announcing means, as we said, communicating, and it's always done through a specific language, and it can be any language in the world. But when it comes to language, again we see different accents people use, and now especially in English language we see British English and American English. But when it comes to Sri Lanka, we see like it's more of a blend of both this British and American accents, and sometimes we see, so like people go wrong trying to mix them up. So what is your take on this, sir?
I would say this is a $1 million question, right? This is this really breaks the jinx that we all have. So this is a question that most of the people have, and when we go for media competitions, right? This is a wrong mindset that the students have, right? So don't think that you get more marks or you get more opportunities when you deliver with an accent. It doesn't happen. It doesn't work in that way. In Sri Lanka, what we use is British English. We use British English. As you rightly said, Praveen, there are people who deliver with the American accent, but in Sri Lanka, the norm is using British English, right? And what you have to understand is announcing, or if you become a newsreader, whatever you do as a communicator, always be extra careful when pronouncing Sinhalese names, maybe names of monks, maybe names of places, right? Maybe names of a new project, so on and so forth. So it's important that you really be thorough with the Sinhalese names. It's true, you're presenting to an English audience. That is true. But you're in Sri Lanka and you're presenting to a Sri Lankan audience. English audience in Sri Lanka. It's true that it goes global now with live streaming and all that. That's correct. But even someone sees you, if even an expatriate sees you presenting news and you make a mistake, mispronouncing a Sinhalese name, that is chaos. And you are seen maybe as an irresponsible person, because reading news, reading a documentary, whatever script you're given is your responsibility. Yes, you have an editor, that's true, but when the editor hands over the scripts to you, it's your responsibility, because you're not a parrot. You are a responsible citizen delivering the most important news of the day to millions of people. That's what you have to understand. That's the responsibility you have, right? So accent. So when you now think of this in simple terms. Now, when what I speak, right? If it's not with clarity, Praveen, right? If you don't understand what I just tell, what I say now, right? What's the point of doing this? What's the point of gathering thousands of students, right, in this noble task that you're doing? A wonderful gesture, I would say, right? What is the point if I come up with an accent and make a mess of it? Because when you come up with an accent, you lose clarity. When you lose clarity, you lose the audience. Keep that in mind. Accent doesn't give you anything. There is a natural accent that you come up with. Use it, right? Sometimes we find brilliant voices, Praveen. Brilliant voices. The problem is you come up with an accent, lack of clarity, you're done and dusted. People won't understand what you say. People won't understand. You read news, people don't understand. Pointless, right? What's the point? So that is what you have to realize. Absorb this. Put this as a very important point into your minds and understand. Because we have been emphasizing on this fact, Praveen, over and over again. Whenever we go to a competition even if we go to a competition next week, we see it. So I really don't understand how can we correct it. But for the audience here, I would say, right, practice with the natural accent you have. We are Sri Lankan, we have a natural accent. And as far as I'm concerned, Sri Lankans, right, speak the most, you can say, the English with the most or the highest clarity English or the version of English that you can listen to in the world. That's what I have figured out. When a Sri Lankan speaks in English, it's very clear. That's what we are known for. Right? Even if you watch international news, you have to look at the lip movements or the movement of the mouth of the presenter. Otherwise, it's very hard to gather. Watch international news, then you will realize it, right? Watch international news. If you want to get into this field as an announcer or a newsreader or a communicator, in any field that you get into, watch videos, watch visual content and learn from them, how they present, not only the voice, the body language, and the way they deliver, the expressions, so on and so forth. So I think accent is not needed. Use your natural accent to present. I think you'll have the edge over the others. And ultimately, people will understand what you say. That's what matters.
Yes, sir. Always be who you really are. Be yourself. I think that
The world
is,
worships the original.
yes, sir. That's the most important thing. I think it's such an important thing that you all learned, including me. And all right, sir. So now we have come to the end of today's session. And before moving on to our Q&A session, I want to ask one last question, sir.
Naveen, I think if we could show them, right, if we could show them an example of news presenting and documentary, I think it would be beneficial for them.
Yes, sir.
Just
Uh,
can we do that?
yes, sir. Sure. So are you gonna share screen something?
Do you want me to share the screen or just?
If you also can do, it's totally fine, sir.
Okay, I'll just share the screen and.
All right, sir.
I'll just. I'll take a news item from the BBC, right?
All right, sir.
I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
So I'll just read it as a news item. So I think I can read it from at least 8 people up to wooded area. Yeah, that should be fine. That should be lengthy enough, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's do this. At least 8 people have been killed after a cable car fell near Lake Maggiore in northern Italy, according to rescuers and news reports. Local emergency services said the accident happened on a service transporting passengers from the resort town of Stresa in the Piedmont region. Alpine rescue and air helicopter emergency services responded to the serious accident about midday Sunday. Officials say 2 children were taken from the scene to a Turin hospital. An image posted on social media by emergency services showed the wreckage of the cable car lying in a wooded area. So that's the news. Let me stop sharing and give you an example of a documentary. This is not a documentary as such, but a passage that we can read as a documentary. So I'll take it from National Geographic. So I think that is the way you read a news. So you should have your own style. As I told you earlier, having the own style in reading or whatever passage or presentation you do, it's important that you have your own style. So you can come up with your own style and present and create an identity where you get highlighted among others. So I'll tell you a few more facts right after we read the documentary. So let me share the screen now. Yeah. All right. So this is from National Geographic, the rugged past and fragile future of Alaska's roadhouses, right? So let me I'll just read the first paragraph. So listen to the variations in the voice. So I told you earlier, you don't need a lot of breathing when reading a documentary. It goes like this. When Annie Hopper first saw the Black Rapids Roadhouse in the late 1990s, the 117-year-old log structure was a wreck of rotting timber with a dilapidated sod roof open to the sky. The series of connected cabins had been abandoned for nearly a decade along the Richardson Highway, the wild corridor between Valdez and Fairbanks, Alaska. But for much of the 20th century, the roadhouse had served meals to hungry miners and rented bunks to tired dog sled drivers. I'll stop sharing. Yeah, so that is how you read a news and a documentary. So I think
Yes, right.
I hope that it was beneficial to the audience, Praveen, because
course,
that is the time that we can spend on this, because we have to discuss many things
Yeah,
and be
so
much
I think,
useful to the audience.
yes, I think the audience is so much lucky to learn both the theory and the practice from this session. So thank you very much, sir. And with that note,
My pleasure. My
yes,
pleasure.
sir.
Yeah.
So with that note, I want to ask one last question before moving on to our Q&A session, sir.
Hmm.
So, what kind of future do you foresee in the field of English announcing, sir?
Interesting future that all of you would have. Right? I told you, learn the basics, right? You have to know the rules to break the rules, right?
Yeah.
So know the basics. Thereafter, you can use those basics to come up with your own ideas, come up with a style of your own, so on and so forth. So announcing is just one part of it. You have extensions to it. You have opportunities that can be created through your skill by taking it to the digital space. Do it. That's what I wanted to say. So that's the future. Now, I was reading a recent article, Praveen, right? It was a research report. Right? Now, all these streaming services will replace television in the next 9 or 10 years by 2030, because all these streaming services have their own production crew, their own team. So they produce and they distribute content in their own right, in their own style. So you won't need TV anymore, right? But in the Sri Lankan context, it's totally different because we come to that level after some time because we are not technologically developed as those countries are. But we will get to that. So by the time we get to that situation, we have to be ready. Be ready to get into the digital space and explore that space. So announcing is the basic skill. We talked about building your vocabulary, voice modulation, body language, right? Practicing, so on and so forth. So all these ingredients, right, are needed to prepare that dish, the dish of becoming a communicator. So when you become a communicator, irrespective of the platform, you're through. But build these skills now. Read, watch videos. As I told you, write the words that you don't understand, new words that you come across, pronunciation, the way it is being used in a sentence, so on and so forth, synonyms. So, because future of announcing is, you can't call it announcing as such, but it's communicator. It's the role of a communicator. You deliver messages through social media. You deliver messages through social media. You share knowledge. Maybe you're good in science and you share some notes or whatever. Maybe the short note can be a video. You write short notes to study, right? So that can be a video. So one of your colleagues or any student could watch your video and gain that knowledge. That is the future. That is why you need this, right? So if you get into media or when you get into media, always measure your success, okay? Measure success in a step-by-step fashion. So aspire to do whatever you want to do, right? If you have a presentation next week, do that presentation better than what you did last week or the previous month or the previous occasion. That is where your success lies. It doesn't mean that you have to become the best communicator in the world. No. Think big. That's important. That's great. Think big. Think big. But this is how you move step by step further. So it's important that you take that first step and explore the digital space. I have created opportunities by the videos that I have created. So why can't you? You have a digital space that is humongous. Humongous, right? Humongous means massive, huge, it's big, right? It's important that you capture that audience. And it doesn't happen overnight. You start building your skills now. It might be 14 years, 15 years, or even 20 years. Start now. Start now, right? I'll tell you something that I read very recently. I read a book from Eckhart Tolle. It's called Power of Now, right? Just wanted to mention this to you. To understand the importance of this moment, right? It says time is not valuable. So when you hear this, you're like, is this guy crazy, right? It says time is not valuable. The present moment is the most valuable, is invaluable. The now. So start now. That's what I wanted to explain. That's what I wanted to put inside your minds. Start now. Start building your skills now. Read, watch videos, write the words that you feel it's challenging, so on and so forth. Start now, get into business. You will definitely, if you do it with consistency, within 5 to 10 years, you will find your passion. use your communication skill to conquer.
Thank you so much, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, the future is digital, and you have to start working on making yourselves digital before your time is up. All right. So now our time is up, ladies and gentlemen, and now let's quickly move on to our Q&A session. And we received several questions from the audience. So, sir, our first question is, it's quite natural to make mistakes when we present, and how can we cover it up when we present? Now, normally we do mistakes, and how can we cover it up and like continue doing it?
It's a good question. So humans make mistakes, right? So mistake is not a mistake until it's committed twice. Think in that way, right? So when you commit a mistake, maybe you would read a sentence incorrectly. Read it again. If you're reading a news, you might make a mishap in that sentence. Then and there, read it again. Don't wait for few seconds, because then the audience will realize that you made a mistake. If you made a mistake, correct it then and there. That is the technique. That is a tactic. So these are little ways. So announcing, if you, it's very rare that you make a mistake when it comes to a live event, or being a host at an event, indoor or outdoor, right? So it depends on the. Sometimes you may make a mistake pronouncing a name incorrectly, right? Especially, this is a good question. I want to highlight, right? If you're a host of an event and you have a list of names, the designations, be very thorough with it. Don't make mistakes when you're reading a name, when you're announcing a name, when you're reading out a person's name. Be very careful, because that is his dignity, right? Now, if I make a mistake saying Praveen Vikramasinghe, so that is Praveen's dignity, right? So on and so forth. So that is your responsibility. It's your responsibility to go through the names and the designations carefully.
Yes, sir. And also
Right.
sometimes even the way we pronounce the words, the accents that we are using, sometimes fake accents,
Yeah,
can make a really big effect to another person's dignity, right, sir?
that is so true. And we have come across these experiences. So it's important that we learn from them. If
Yeah.
you try to do the same thing, if it's wrong, what the previous person has done is wrong, you do the same thing, right? And it's wrong again. So it's important that you learn from the mistakes. Make sure that you don't commit that mistake over and over again. That's where your success lies. That's why I told you, deliver your presentation coming up next week better than what you did last week. That is where the success is. So the answer to the question is, if you come across, or if you commit a mistake, correct it then and there. You can say apologies, or I beg your pardon, or whatever. So correct it then and there, because if you leave time and come back to it, then the audience will realize that you made a mistake. And nowadays, the audience is very intelligent and they're very attentive. So the audience might say. So then you can say, yeah, all right, okay. So, all right, okay. Thank you very much for that. And you say whatever, whatever the correct version. So that's how it goes. So this depends on the interactivity, or how do you interact with the audience. Wait. Always remember, when you're at an event, it's a two-way communication nowadays. You have to have the engagement of the audience. Otherwise, there is no hype. You get people to talk at times, not all the time, because sometimes it will be hard to manage. So You have to balance the way you get the engagement and move on. I think I answered the question.
Yes, sir. And also, sir, we have another question now. Is political knowledge is necessary for an announcer? I would say not only political, I think the overall knowledge that we should know about this entire world. Now, this question is about actually the importance of that knowledge, sir.
Absolutely important. If you're a communicator, okay, you should know at least a little bit of everything. Maybe technology, neuroscience, engineering, politics, uh, whatever you have, social media, whatever you can name, right? Biology, so on and so forth. Having knowledge, especially on current affairs, is a must. Watch news, watch local news, international news, sports news, or whatever news you get, and gain that knowledge. Because as a communicator, sometimes people look up to you. Sometimes people might call you and ask, oh, what's the update today? What's news today? So then, because once you get into this terrain, people know that you're there, you're in, and they expect that from you. So these are little things. So it is good for you, and you become a resource person to someone else, which is better, right? That's how it works.
Yes, sir. And also, sir, we have another question. And before moving on to that, we have more announcements. So, a quick reminder to the audience. So, we have dropped the link to the feedback form in the chat box. So, please give us your honest opinion about Allusion 2021. And also, moving back to our question round. Sir, is hand gestures bad? Does it show that you are nervous, sir?
Not really. Hand gestures, if you deliver with the same hand gestures again and again, that'll show a bit of nervousness. But if you could use your hand gestures in a coordinated fashion, or maybe uh, sometimes you use gestures, sometimes not. Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you can use one hand, and the other time both hands, so on and so forth. So I think having hand gestures shows that you're confident, right? You're confident, and then you open up. That is the way you build your presence. You say that I'm there, right? And and nervousness is natural. Don't think about it. It's the way you manage your fear. It's the way you manage your fear, right? Anyone in the audience who is not nervous, I don't think so. So if you're not nervous, you have to see a doctor. It's natural, right? So the skill is the way you manage your fear, right? I'll tell you a good example. When I was in school, right? You get the opportunity to speak in front of your colleagues, the speech at the assembly. So fortunately or unfortunately, that was my day. So I went in front of my colleagues, picked up the microphone, switched it on. I started shivering from head to toe, right? I just spoke about 5 lines. That's it. I said, thank you very much, and walked back. So that is how I started. So don't think about nervousness. Use hand gestures accordingly. That is the answer to the question. So if you repeat the same hand gesture again and again, that shows nervousness. So if you mix with having gestures and not, sometimes you use gestures, but sometimes not. So that mix will give you more confidence, and you'll have engagement from the audience as well. That's the answer.
Yeah.
I hope that I answered the question.
Yes, sir. So until we get the next question, I would like to again remind you about our competition that we are having, which is embedded to the registered participants of Allusion 2021. It's Verbalizers 2021. So send us a maximum 1 minute long video of you announcing on any topic and upload your video as a Google Drive link to the form which is being sent on your WhatsApp groups. So you all can be a part of this competition as well. And also the feedback form will be there on your chat in the chat box, so you can go to it and give your opinion about the Allusion 2021. So again, moving on to the next question, sir. Um, Speaking fast is making my speaking worse. So is it a weakness, or what can we do to practice to speak fast in English, sir?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so this person is asking whether it is important to speak fast or is it okay to speak slowly, because this one says that if this person, whenever this person starts speaking fast, uh, he makes so many of mistakes.
All right, important question. So this is about pauses, right? You
Yeah,
should have pauses when you're speaking, right? Pause to grab the attention of the audience. You say something, you say a sentence, and you pause for a while. You don't pause for about 10 minutes, but a few seconds, right?
yeah,
You pause, and then the audience will look at you. They will be glued to you. Then you start speaking again, right? So don't try to speak fast, because if you speak fast, a person who is listening to you would not be able to follow you. What you said, when you get into the last part of what you're saying, they would forget the first part, right? So that's what will happen. Remember, try to speak, not try to speak with pauses. If you take watch speeches from Barack Obama, the way he uses pauses. YouTube Barack Obama and watch his speeches, then you'll understand what I'm saying, right? You pause, grab the attention, keep that engagement going. With
yeah.
pauses, you can keep that engagement going. So uh, I think my advice to you, speak slowly, right? Now, in another context, Praveen, if you're reading news and if you come across a difficult word, you may come across difficult words. Even when you're reading on there, you might find it difficult. So you take your time and pronounce that word. Take your time, pronounce that word properly, and continue with the flow. You read at a certain pace. If you try to read that difficult word in the same pace, you will mess it up. So this is a technique, this is a tactic, right? Take your time, read the difficult word, continue with the flow. Likewise, on another note, it's important that you use your pauses. Use your pauses, grab the attention of the audience. Then you'll overcome a lot of challenges. So don't speak fast. Speak. Have a certain you can have a certain pace in your speech. Have pauses. Then you'll have more breathing space too. You can't speak without breathing. You'll die, right? Don't forget to breathe.
And also when we like want to stretch something and like give more weight, sometimes we have to give a pause to let the audience to understand that thing, right, sir?
Absolutely. You're spot on. So pause. Pause is a very important in speech. So example I can quote is Barack Obama. Watch some of his speeches. So when you research, you may come across another examples, few other examples. So if you come across, let me know. I would be eager to learn from you all as well. So yeah, so pauses are essential in speech.
Yes, sir. And also we have one question, sir. Like while I speak, I use a lot of and such words simply to like remember the next word. And how can we control it, sir? Is there any special technique that we
So
can
yeah,
do?
these are called filler words, right? As, zoos. These are filler words. So a good speaker has less number of filler words, right? So when your vocabulary is not powerful, you use filler words. That's why I told you, when you come across new words, write them. So I'll repeat it. You write the word, its definition, its pronunciation in Sinhala. If you can't read it in English, write the pronunciation in Sinhalese, the way it is being used in a sentence. Number 5, synonyms. Write another similar word to that word that you've written. Because sometimes when you're speaking in a sentence, you'll have the same word twice. So on the second occasion, you can use the synonym, right? So when you forget the synonym, you use a filler word. Likewise, right? When you forget the synonym, you use a filler word. So this is a matter of improving your vocabulary. Read and practice, right? And there are various sources that you can improve your vocabulary now. Reading is one, right? Watching videos, as I told you earlier, and listen to podcasts, right? Listen to podcasts, because podcasts is a type of content that you can consume or you can use while doing something else. While doing something else, you can listen to a podcast. So podcasts will give you more knowledge, that is in terms of content, and in terms of vocabulary. Your vocabulary, the power of your vocabulary will grow by leaps and bounds. So listen to podcasts, improve your vocabulary, read, and read again. That's my advice.
It's all about practicing, right, sir?
Absolutely. Practice. Read, practice, and read, practice again.
Yes, sir. So though we have so much of questions, we'll finish our Q&A session with this one, sir. So how do we control emotions when we present something? And how do we express it correctly, the thing that we want to say?
Yes. So it is a matter of having your cool, be calm, right? As a communicator, especially if you're a newsreader, right? I'm telling you this, even in a perspective of a communicator, try meditating, use meditation. That will give you, this is good for not only communication, but even in your life, this will be important to you. Because when you come to a certain stage in your life, you realize the value of these. Not now. Maybe you're not too young to understand this, but try practicing meditation. That keeps you calm. Okay? Keeps you calm. You know what to do next when something goes wrong, right? Then you know how to face that situation without being emotional. Especially if you're a newsreader, you're not allowed to show emotions. Right? I'll tell you an example. There was a singular newsreader whom I know, right? She had the bulletin at 9:30 p.m. and about half an hour ago, she got the news that her father passed away. Shocking, right? Shocking. Absolutely shocking. But she read the bulletin at 9:30 p.m. without showing any emotion. That is what it is. That is the responsibility you have. Because you're the face, you're the ambassador delivering the news to millions of people, to the country. The important news that people are waiting to watch. So your emotions need to be controlled because you're doing a national duty. Responsibility, it's a national responsibility. You're reading news in a TV channel, that's a responsibility. People may think you're just looking at a paper and you're reading, right? And they might think it's easy. No, it is not. It's practice. I'm not discouraging, but I'm telling you the truth. I just want to let you understand the gravity of this, right? Let you understand the gravity of this. So it's important that you control your emotions. To do that, try meditating. 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, as soon as you wake up, uh, maybe stay for about 10-15 minutes and do it. Otherwise, you'll fall back to sleep. So use it effectively, then you will know, you will realize the effectiveness of it. Then you're ready to face any situation. Whatever happens, you're there. So make sure that you meditate and get into that spiritual mode of your life. Whatever you do really helps. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I think controlling emotions is so much important because it's a profession and we have to maintain that professionalism while we are doing it.
Professionalism is a must.
Yes, sir. So with that note, we are ready to conclude our session. And thank you so much, sir, for all your valuable insights you shared with us on English announcing. And this marks the end of the final webinar of the Allusion workshop series. So once again, thank you so much, sir, for sparing your valuable time to add more value to this workshop. And I'm sure it has meant a lot for our young announcers who are willing to get into the field of media. And also, we can't forget our beloved sponsors because this session would have not been a reality if not for their contribution. So today's session is mainly sponsored by Samudra Bookshop and also our gift sponsor. So thank you once again, and we're so grateful for your unwavering support. And our dearest audience, thank you so much for being with us all along and being a part of Allusion 2021. And last,
Praveen, I think,
yes,
Praveen,
sir.
I think I need to speak a few words, right? So,
Sure, sir.
thank you very much for having me. So I just waited till you finished. So after I say this, you can wrap it up, right? So if I don't say these few words, it's not fair. So thank you very much for having me. I think you all have created a revolution through Allusion, right? And uh, thank you very much once again to the wonderful audience. Thanks for joining. It gives me great pleasure. And even if you have any more questions in the future, right? I see questions coming in right now as well, but I think with the time, we are unable to answer all the questions. Thank you very much. We value every question that we get. So you can get connected to me on any of the social media platforms. Just type Sasanka Das. You can connect with me. And if you have any questions, just DM me the questions. I will be more than happy to answer all of your questions. And thank you very much, Japura Voice, for inviting me and putting up this wonderful platform to build the next generation of communicators in Sri Lanka. I wish all of you success. Stay safe, take care, follow the rules, know the basics.
Thank you so
Cheers.
much, sir. It's really an honor to have you with us, sir. And finally, again, I want to thank to our beloved executive board as well and the divisional heads of Japura Voice and head of the project committees and the committee heads along with the committee members of Allusion 2021, because this is the last session and the last webinar that we are conducting for this year. So this would not be a reality actually if not for all your efforts. So with that happy note, let me conclude the session, and until we meet again with Allusion 2022 in a post-COVID world, have a great time ahead. Take care, stay indoors and stay safe. Good night.